Hey everyone, so today we're going to be opening up some geodes. I got these from a town called Keokuk, which is on the border of Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois, right up there in that little corner. And you can go up there and dig these out. There's plenty of places you can go to get these. There's not going to be a whole lot of commentary on this video. We're just going to be opening up some rocks, looking at some cool crystals. My preferred method of opening them up is using a tile saw. Tile saw has a diamond blade on it, and then when you open it up, it's got some water on the inside, and that gives a nice clean cut. That way you don't have crumbles and cracks and just pieces of geodes everywhere. There are some geodes that I can't make it through with the saw. For instance, this one is connected in the middle at some point, and as you can see, I cut all the way through on all sides, but it still didn't open, which is fine. I'll take a hammer and open it or something with those. Some of these, we got some bigger ones like this. We can get these opened, and a few of these are already kind of broken. You can tell that there's crystals in there. We may open these up anyway, just to reveal all the other crystals on the inside. I'll get the camera set up, and we'll start opening them up. We're going to start with some smaller ones, and we'll work our way up. As you see, that goes pretty quick. And here is what we have on the very first one. See if we can get it to focus. Okay. We'll keep opening them. Okay, so this one had a bigger crystal, so it opened up like that. We'll get a better look at all these at the end too. Now, once you start getting up past things of this size, when I can't just roll it through on the blade and have it cut. I have to put it on the blade and then spin it. The problem therein lies is that these geodes aren't always round, and even if they were, I'm not necessarily all that great at spinning it and then coming back at the exact same point where the cut started. So there might be a little deviation here and there. I try to reduce that as much as possible, but it is what it is. And if you wanted to look, this is what the blade spins under here, and this guard pretty much just stops the water from flinging everywhere. This is what it looks like if you turn it on with the guard up. So this guard is essentially there just to keep the water in. Okay, so this has got some extra stuff in here. We'll get a better look at it at the end. But there's some white stuff off to the right, and that almost seems to be water soluble. Maybe it's a salt of some sort, but there's crystals laying in here. Come on, focus. There you go. These crystals are just loose. Notice there's some yellow ones in there too. But we'll get a better look. So we have a couple more. Got a bigger round one. And then we have a more unusual shaped one. This is more like a pancake. Now, whenever these form underground, or whenever they formed millions of years ago, these were actual bubbles that had started to rise. And so you can imagine a bubble as it's rising, and then it hits something hard and it flattens out. That's how you end up with geodes like this. Now, to open these odd shaped ones, I try my best to cut along the long ways. That way when we open it up, it reveals as much as possible. However, this one, I feel like I'm going to destroy if I try to do it that way. So I'm just going to cut it straight in half. I've got plenty of examples, and we'll probably do a few where I do cut it along the edge. But just this particular one, I'm going to go straight in half. And it is filled with a white substance. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like there's some crystals in there. Perhaps this would be a good candidate to... Okay, so that feels like mud. You see it? It feels like a clay. It's almost like this got filled up with clay recently. Okay. Well, we will explore that later. Now for the round one. Just make sure I actually got it in view. Okay, so we got a little bit of different kind of geode here. So here's the problem that I was talking about earlier. Whenever you're cutting, see, this is how it goes. So whenever you're cutting and you're spinning it over the blade, eventually you got to come back to the point where you started. and I seem to be horrible at getting that perfect. So I always get this little stair step. Now, that if I wanted to, I could lap that and make it smooth, which is probably what I'll do with a lot of these. But notice how these aren't crystals, they're more like bumps or nodules. I will need to put on the screen somewhere what these are actually called, but when I was a little kid, my dad called them brain geodes, and that's just what I've called them ever since. So that's what we'll call them for now. Okay, grabbed a few more. Nothing special about these two. We'll just crack them open, see what's inside. This one has a little bit of quartz sticking out, but I'm pretty sure it's geode. So whenever you're digging for geodes, there'll be multiple layers of mud and clay on a cliffside usually, or on a riverbed. Wherever you're digging these out, there's going to be multiple layers, and then you'll find a single layer that's got all these rocks in it. And as you dig in that layer, you keep pulling out more and more of these, and they're almost all geodes. So that's how you find them. So when you're out looking, once you find one geode, take note of what layer it's in, and then start working your way horizontally, and you'll dig up a lot more. These 4 buckets that I filmed earlier are, just a extremely small percentage of the actual geo count we have here. To maximize the crystal viewage, we're going to spin it long ways like this. Even so it's flat, we're going to cut it along the flat edge. Okay, so here's this one. See some quartz in here. It appeared to be mostly filled. There is some voids in there, but the crystals are really small and brittle. And you'll notice that there are some brown crystals in there too. I believe that is calcite. I could be wrong. Mixed with some iron. Okay. We have another one here that is more pancake rather than round. You can almost picture this as a bubble rising up through the mud. But I'm going to cut it along this edge. That way we can view more crystals that way. So this one unfortunately broke. But it had a lot of little crystals with one giant crystal in the middle. Pretty cool. Yeah, even though we're not cracking these with a chain, they still fracture sometimes. Now we're gonna do this one. I'm just gonna try cutting it this way. And so here we go. We have some pretty big crystals in there with some brown crystals and a lot more of that white stuff. Oh, no, that's not that white paste we saw earlier. That's actual quartz or calcite. So there's that. We got a couple slightly larger ones. This one feels pretty heavy. I'm thinking this one might be solid. I'm going to open it up just right across. And I was right. It is for the most part solid. You see a little bit of a void in there, but not much. And this one looks to be a double. You'll get a lot of these, and some these doubles and triples and quads are my favorite. When you cut them open, oftentimes they'll have different kinds of crystals in each bubble. So like over here might be one of those brain geodes, and over here might be some quartz. They get to looking really, really cool. Oh, I also wanted to mention, you clearly on these want to open it up in such a way that you can view the contents of both. So we're going to cut it. We're going to cut it this way so we can see inside both geode. And wouldn't you know it, look at that, it was actually 3 geodes. So this big one looks to be solid quartz with a tiny little pocket right in the middle. And then we have some very fine crystals, and then a really tiny geode up here in the corner with some large crystals in it. This might be one of the better finds of the day. Now we're going to open up a couple bigger ones. This one is already kind of broken, so we already know what's on the inside. But let's open it up and see what the rest of the crystals look like, because it's awesome. And we've got a pretty big dome-ish one. We'll cut that open and see what's on the inside. This one's got some weight to it too. I'm kind of worried about this one. So this one that's broken really sucks to have to try to pick how to cut through it, because there's crystals that run throughout the middle that connect to all the sides. And so I'm going to have to destroy some of those to open this. But I would if I used a chain anyway. Now, as I was pulling this off the saw, there's a couple crystals that fell at my feet. So it was together like that. That's what the inside, and you can see some crystals falling out still. But still looks pretty cool. Okay, so now we got this bigger one. Just like before. So these really heavy ones that I think are going to be solid, I try not to waste so much time cutting along the edge, because then I end up in a scenario in which I have something like this, where I've tried to cut around the edge, but because it's solid, it doesn't separate, because I can't get all the way through with this saw. So, like I said before, normally I try to cut long ways to reveal as many crystals as possible to light. But because I don't believe this to be super hollow, it's going to have some voids for sure, but because I don't believe it to be super hollow, I'm just going to cut it long ways. So I'll still cut it along the longer axis here, but on the flatter side. And I was, for the most part, right. It is pretty full. Though, I'm betting this brown stuff I could eat away with an acid and reveal all the awesome crystals on the inside. Perhaps another video. So we're up to some larger ones now. We have this Uber Pancake Geode that once again I'm going to go against what I would normally do and cut it long ways, because I don't think there's any crystals in this whole section right here, and my saw blade will probably only get up to here. So if I attempt to cut this all the way around on the edge, I don't think it's going to open. It's just something I've got dozens of geodes that are partially cut because of that. So we're still going to go along a longer axis. We're going to go along this way and see what we see. Then we have this one. This one I've been saving. I've been waiting to see what's in this one. So this is a triple geode. As you can see, there are 3 bubbles. Oh, maybe it's not so obvious, but there are 3 sections to this. And obviously we want to open it up in such a way that we can see all 3. So we're going to have to cut around. Now, I don't know how much of this one I'm going to get on video. I'm going to try my best. But this one's going to take a while. My blade is not going to make it through to the middle. And so I'm going to have to attempt to open this afterwards. And kind of like I was thinking, it's pretty heavy. This one is almost filled in. It's got a whole mixture of quartz and those brown crystals. Okay, so we got the big one here. We're gonna try to open it up along the seam so we can reveal all 3 geodes in here. There could be more than 3, but it just looks like 3 big ones to me. Okay, so I have it cut all around, which means I need to open it. To split this open, we have a trusty old flathead. And that is not to pry with, it is to use that wedge shape at the end. As I tap this in, it should gently separate the geode. Should, being the key word. Oh, the whole thing's coming apart. Okay. Well, this is working out okay though. Look, we got one of the geodes came off here. So we got a separated geode that's cut and intact, which is good. You can see, though, my saw didn't quite make it through. Now that we've knocked this geode off, and look at that beautiful crystal ball there. Now that we knocked this geode off, I'm going to try to cut it some more. Okay, I'm going to cut a little bit more. Let's see what else is in here. Now remember, is to use the wedge of the screwdriver. Ooh, where is it? Yeah. Use the wedge of the screwdriver by pushing in. Don't pry. And look at that. We still saved the rest of the geode. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful geode. I am happy with that. We're taking a final look at the geodes we cut open today. The sun keeps ducking and dodging behind clouds, so I've got a white flashlight I'm going to be shining in here so you can see what's going on in these geodes. This is the first one, and we'll work our way up. I've kept them in order in which we open them. This is the one that was filled with that white paste. I tell you what, the closest thing I can describe this white paste to is zinc hydroxide. If you've ever worked with zinc hydroxide, that it's this white powder that will quickly turn to paste in air. But we might deal with that in a separate video. Here's that one that broke. And then here's my favorite for the day. I know it doesn't seem like much, but I love these fully fleshed in geodes because they take a polish so well. And then to have two other different kinds of crystals to the side, that is awesome. That's going to be one that I sit on my desk after I polish it. This is the one that had the end already broken open. Here's that big pancake one. And then here's the geode that broke off the giant one. You see there's another one up top too. And one off to the side. So this was multiple geodes. All the tiny ones seem to have broken off into there. And I bet you right at the end here is another one that is completely covered that we can't see. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to see in there. Might be a project for another time. And then here's the good big one. Here, let's take away the flashlight. There's enough sunlight here. Hope you guys had fun watching me open some geodes. Until next time, guys.